and welcome back. Another episode of The Lookout. Episode 198. We're getting close to 200. We just celebrated 7 years. We just wrapped up our 6-part One Piece with me and AD. No Mills still. So you'll hear him next week. This week where I'm running it. I'm not solo, but I'm solo because today I have two amazing guests, two amazing people that I have had the pleasure of even sharing the stage with a panel, and I'm super happy to have them on. We're keeping it super local. We're keeping it super St. Paul today. Um, so today I have two great men, two great cosplayers, Adrian and David. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. Thanks for
Doing pretty
having me.
good. Thank you. Thank you. That was a wonderful intro. Appreciate
St.
that.
Paul for life.
Oh man, I appreciate that. See, I'm not usually the one that does the intro. My co-host does. And so it's been real fun kind of doing it for the past couple weeks. I've been kind of getting my I'm not like I don't know if y'all listen to Throwing Fits where he does like the 150 nicknames like
Uh,
super rapid fast,
Gotcha.
but I'm getting there. Guys, how you guys doing today? You're doing great.
yeah, doing great. Doing wonderful.
So I know you guys both got back from BlurredCon. Um,
Hmm.
how can you tell us a little bit about that? And also, too, has there been a convention yet that is your pinnacle of conventions?
Adrian, why don't you go ahead and start this one?
Yeah, Blurred Con, I was doing some digging and then I finally started in 2017. So I'm sure they had some downs over the pandemic, but going on for a few years. Of course, Blurred, combination of Black Nerd. It's been going on it was an amazing experience. I think all the things they advertised, it was there because we've been to cons and it's with diversity, you might have a diverse attendees, or you might have something, but hitting all points of diverse attendees, diverse content, diverse planners, diverse vendors, all those things, having that space and just being, comfortable and welcome into that environment. So, yeah, that was out in Virginia last week. Was that a couple weekends ago? It's all
Yep.
flying by, but it was an amazing experience to be able to cosplay and see some stuff that you wouldn't see other places and really enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, BlurCon for me was actually a bucket list place for me to visit. So it was an absolute joy and honor to be there, and to make that happen, and appreciative to my guy Adrian for coming along with me to experience that. Um, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was everything that I hoped it to be, and probably more. It was for me. It was a way more polished um, con in the things of looking towards, like, black spaces. You know what I mean? Um, and so that I mean, there was just so much. It there's such a high that it leaves you with. There's so much going on. From like one of the things that stood out to me for was how celebratory everybody was, how happy everyone was just to be there, just to be in their own skin. You know what I mean? It was like, as we like to say, you with family. You know what I mean? And so to be there, and then just everybody just joyful, everybody being super nerds, but also the culture, that unspoken language that we have with one another. It didn't matter if people were from the East Coast, it didn't matter if people from the West Coast, it didn't matter that we are in the Midwest. Like, everybody came from all over the country and just vibed out. And I loved every bit of that.
Definitely. And that's amazing to hear. I think like what we're doing here at the Lookout, being a black anime network, that word that you're saying, like family and community, and that's something that we really strive for here, especially in this space. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
because we've seen it before, we've seen it online where it can get very divisive.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it, and to create spaces for ourselves and for other fans, and even outside of anime, you talking about, just like you said, the whole blurred community between gamings and comics and whatnot. So it's great to see these conventions and events that are happening where you can see people who look like you and come from similar experiences from you, but are still able to enjoy all these different assets and different just like channels. And that's amazing to hear, and I'm happy that you guys had an amazing experience out there. I definitely had a couple other friends out there who all said the same thing, where it's like you go
Yeah.
there and you just feel at home. You just you just feel like, wow, here are all these other people who look like me enjoying this stuff and just having fun with it, which is amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. I mean, for years, I mean, there's like, it's like layers to an onion. There's so many layers to this, and for me, I got into, let's just say, I grew into myself later in the years. I was already a full fledged grown man with a family, kids and stuff like that, and it wasn't until later to where I really came into myself and accepted myself as, and in flying that flag as a black nerd. Before the word blurred even came about, or that recognition, or that container, if you will. I just knew that I've always liked these things. It was always nostalgic feeling for me, but I still continue to enjoy them. Um, and so, like, I started to go to cons, and through my photography work, that connected me to that community. And I really loved being in that, because it was still, you were still kind of finding your people, people that enjoyed these different medias and fandoms and things like that. But as a black male stepping into those spaces, you started, more and more, I should say, you started to kind of feel that, like, I'm kind of feeling a little excluded.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of the representation that, things that I vibe with. There's not much of my culture. There's not much of the people that look like me that's here. Stuff like that. You start to notice that. You start to feel, a little exclusion from folks, and from the organizations. They ask, "Hey, give us some give us, what do you want to see at the next cons?" And you start filling out, like, I would like to see a little bit of this, little bit more, maybe hip hop, R&B, a little bit jazz, I don't care, something that is more representative of where I come from and things that I enjoy. Maybe I can get some panels that's talking about some movies or whatever media that has a little bit more of the culture, that I recognize and I come from and I identify with. And when it kind of blatantly just does not get answered at all, you start to notice that more and more. So um, we'll definitely get into, which will segue into ConFluence and how ConFluence came about. But BlurredCon came about just randomly for me, and I think it was a cosplay music video, and I was just like, oh my god, this place exists. I need to get there. I don't know how, I don't know when, but I gotta get there.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll definitely get into Confluence, because I feel that is something both of you guys are working on and been a part of. How long is this is what year for Confluence?
This is the second. It'll be the second full event. So the first event was in 2023 last year. Put on some smaller events to keep things going, but the second full Confluence event will be this October. So the second one, yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
And we'll definitely tap into that. Before we get into that though, one thing that I love about both of y'all is your ability to take a cosplay and turn it into something completely like left field, where you're like, I couldn't even think of that. Oh, like what was your, I guess, like what was your start in it? Like, obviously doing the cosplay, and then what was the point where you felt like, okay, like let me start throwing my little extras on it because David, I saw your Super Mario. Adrian, the Prince Jedi at this point is just as big as Prince. Like people
Yeah,
know who the people know who the Prince Jedi is.
Yes,
In
yes.
the city. So like how like starting with you, Adrian, like what was your point where you're like, okay, this is my intro to cosplay, and then what was that turning point where you're just like, you know what, I'm gonna start throwing my extra flavors on it.
Yeah, I've always been a creative, nerdy kid and doing those sort of things. But my sort of cosplay intro was the Black Panther movie after it came out, and the Killmonger character really, yeah, just again, I always say outside of the killing, but everything else he was saying and doing really identified. And I was like, I want to. That's a pretty badass suit. I want to get that. So I dropped some, paid some money and got that and the helmet and all that stuff, and wore to a GalaxyCon in 2099 and in 2019 in the Twin Cities, and really enjoyed that experience. And it's gonna be, I'm gonna be weird going out in Minneapolis in full body spandex, but afterwards I was like, I'm gonna feel weird if I wasn't wearing cosplay in this situation. So just kept on doing with that, did some new ones, but like I think of my most like creative ideas I get when I'm falling asleep, and I was like, I was like, get a purple lightsaber, the Mace Windu one, and I've done some Prince stuff here and there, and that's been a fan of that. And I wonder, yeah, Prince could be a Jedi. I just got to get a role, put these things together, and tweaked it over time, and just really enjoyed the. It's you're not going to get as many uh, photos as Spider-Man or some big things like that everybody knows, but when you get the people who know that and realize it or connect with it, it's a much deeper connection and much more
yeah,
fun, I think, to have that original idea and creation. So I really enjoyed that, and mine's always racing for new things in the coming years. But I had to. I initially wasn't going to bring Jedi Prince to BlurredCon. I was like, but after like watching more videos, so many original characters, like the purple one has to make it to DC for that. So it was a good
mhm.
time. Yeah.
Amazing. And David, how about you? Like, what was that? Your introduction to the cosplay world, and then what was that point where you're just like, you know what? I'm gonna take this character, I'm gonna take this theme, and I'm gonna run off with it on my own time. And
Oh man, I my introduction to cosplay was I was the cameraman. I was the photography was my introduction to it all, but I legitimately avoided it for many years. So it wasn't until probably 2017, 2018, maybe, when I very first was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. And um I literally just threw like Halloween cost like pieces together, and my first one was Cloak, Tyrone Johnson from Cloak and Dagger in the Marvel run. Um, and it, like Adrian was saying, it was this thing that sort of just made me feel closer to myself. As corny as that might sound, it's the truth. Like, I just enjoyed it. Like, I had so much fun just being kind of playing around with this character. And then when people recognize that character, there's a connection that happens. All of a sudden, this conversation sparks, and you start like bonding over like favorite moments, from the comic or from the TV show, so on and so forth. So that was the very first one, and then I just built upon it. I started dumping money into it. I found a sister here who's a Rondo, who still is in the Rondo community. Quintella, I got a name drop. I got a name dropper because she's done all my cloaks from scratch, sewn, put it together. I gave her pictures and all kind of designs and stuff like that, and told her this is how I wanted to look, and she did me right. So um, that's how I got my more accurate piece, and then that also led on to like the Black Adam.
also shout out to the Rondo babies. We always gotta shout out to the Rondo babies. But man,
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it,
yeah,
I see. I've been wanting to take that step into the cosplay world. My,
Talk is cheap.
talk is cheap. Talk is very cheap. I will agree with that. My issue is that I be like, I got 150 ideas and I do not know how to zone in on one.
it's you just jump. You literally jump head first, feet first, whatever. Because I did the same thing. I had a list. I was like, I don't know. There's a bunch of people that look awesome. Like cloak wasn't my very first idea. That wasn't the very first. I was gonna try to do Buka from Air Gear. And then, but I was like, I don't really want to try and build skates. So let me try to find something else. And I don't know. I landed on one that felt easy enough for me to jump into, that wasn't going to break the pockets, that didn't really require me to invest a lot of time and money. But the moment I did, I was hooked. So you just gotta like pick and go.
Do you feel that it
Yeah.
is easier when starting off to just go out, kind of find the already built costume, just to kind of get the feel for it, or you
Yeah,
okay?
It's tricky too because I think I went very hard on my first one as far as price wise, and so having that sort of
Yeah,
standard of
you like
just
had the
getting
costume from the
yeah,
movie at that point.
yeah,
I
getting that
saw it.
experience, and then then you're like, oh, I can't get that Spirit Halloween stuff for next one. But I've done that too with bought some stuff, and I think I've learned that the community is very welcoming. There are those anything elitist snobs who want the fancy stuff, but people who come in with cardboard stuff, people who do
hmm
all sorts of different things. People like the creativity, and again, don't let perfection get in the way of progress. You start with something, and whether you can keep using cardboard or whatever, it's going to get better over time. So I think it's a very
absolutely
welcoming community for the most part.
right.
Awesome. Well, listen, ConFluence is coming in October. I'm definitely gonna be there. I may pull up in my first cosplay there. That may be
What's it gonna be? What's
Yeah,
it gonna
please
be?
do.
Name it right now. What are you
Yeah,
doing?
I don't. I
Pick
see
it.
you putting me on the spot. I'm like, David, I got the list. I gotta throw a
call
dart
it
at the
out.
list.
Just cover your eyes and
He's
point
gonna
and
do
be
it
like, all right.
justice.
See, that was gonna be. I was gonna hang it up. I'm gonna have the darts. I'm just gonna throw the dart, whatever it lands closest to. I'm like, all right, that's the one I'm gonna roll with. But
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
one that has definitely been like high on my list is the Superboy one, the one where he has the leather jacket.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that costume is so hard. So I'm
yeah,
like, all right, that may be the one.
Yes,
Um,
indeed. Yeah, our friend Tyson does a strong one. At not yeah, it's always never let someone else doing it stop you. But I'm saying, yeah,
yeah,
he's had real fun with that one. And yeah, looks badass. That's what's one of my criterias. Does it look badass when I'm wearing it out?
yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure, for
I mean,
sure.
it makes you look. I gotta tell you, cloak is my favorite right now because I legitimately feel like a badass. Like I'm just I feel super super cool, especially when the wind hits that cape or that cloak. You know what I mean? Like I'm like,
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
I feel dope right now. You know?
That's amazing. See, y'all inspiring me. See the idea. See, I'm feeling the energy. This is more. This is probably what I needed. I just needed the energy of like, nah, go just jump off that ledge. Just jump
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you
in.
got the time now because the con scramble's hard. Like, oh, you got that amazing thing, but it's not going to get here in time. But you got time to
Yeah,
hit a few thrift shops, order things, get it right, all the different stuff. So
for
that's it.
sure. So jumping into Confluence, yeah, like what is Confluence? Like obviously it's second year you're going into. I know you guys are both heavily involved with it, but what is Confluence? How did that, idea become what it is now? Like what are you guys doing with it? I know like you said, October you're definitely prepping out. But yeah, just talk a bit about it and how it came alive for y'all.
Um, Adrian, cool. I'll just jump out there.
yes, yes,
All right, so Confluence. Let's very first shout out our queen to Leslie Barlow. Confluence came from Leslie's mind and heart. So this is her baby, along with her original teammates that made it happen 2 years ago. So, but it is a collective long overdue desire for us here in the state of Minnesota. Many of us have attended the cons here multiple times. Many of us have found affinity, real joy and discovery within these cons. But like I, you know, talked a little bit previously about, as people of color, we definitely felt the lack. We saw the lack. We felt the lack. We when it comes to like the effort, when it comes to the actual the content, the actual heart of these cons, including people of color and other communities that are very prevalent. You know, it felt like you were being ignored, and it came a time where it was like, you know what, we're tired of asking, we're tired of being let down. It's time that we create our own space, a safe space, a space that is very intentional, a space that is going to cultivate um, all of those things that we have been desiring um, all these years. And Confluence was born. That is the love baby, again from Leslie Barlow, and from those of us that have felt that on our individual selves are coming together and going, yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's make this happen. Um, Back in 2023, when it was very first announced, I lost my mind and I was like, I want to support in any way possible that I can. And I jumped out there. Like, I bought so many tickets and just for people to go. I think it was the first con I ever volunteered for. And long story short, here we are now, starting last year and moving on through this year. I definitely jumped in when there was a call put out for those who wanted to be a part of the planning committee.
Awesome. And Adrian, how about you? How are you? You know, how did you start getting involved? Because when we did the panel, so I like I said, I had the pleasure of doing a diversity and BIPOC panel at the Twin Cities con with these two guys. Adrian was a great moderator. Um and shout out to the homie Brina who in who let me know like, hey, they're looking for somebody, and they welcomed me in with open arms, and we had
Absolutely.
we had a great conversation. And it's a lot about like what we're talking about now, of just like being black in the space, in this
Yeah.
like nerd anime comic space, and like how sometimes the roadblocks that we run into, but also too how we have found our communities and have found people to help uplift whatever we're doing, whether it's a cosplay, whether it's a podcast, whether it's someone else trying to start their own convention. And
Right.
Confluence is the first time I heard about it. Then unfortunately was not able to make it last year, but definitely will be there this year. But Adrian, how were you, how did you start getting involved with it and helping it grow and seeing it into this year?
Yeah, I forgot how I heard about it initially. I think, I don't know, social media posts or seeing people in person, but the same things Dave was talking about, going to cons and just like, oh, the just people misidentifying your cosplay or just saying weird stuff, or con cos cons being just not intentionally unwelcoming, but just some of them can be like it's like a high school reunion for a bunch of people that have been going there for 20 years, and you're new to this space and you don't know the lingo or how it works out, and there's not really explaining it much. So
Right.
hearing about Confluence, I attended. I think I volunteered to help some setup and things here and there, but just walking in the doors in the space was similar to the experience we got going to BlurredCon. It's just feeling welcome, feeling something new, something representing the culture, all the different pieces that were put into the artistic experience, the sessions, the vibe, everything else. There was a lot of great things to experience. And then after that, after the evals came out saying, if you need anything, I'm down to help. So I'm helping, me and David helping with the cosplay competition. I'm helping with some of the tech stuff, AV, audio, visual things here and there, just being able to provide more to a space that I think one of the metrics we're looking at this year is sort of the first timers, the people who've never been to a con.
Yep. Yep.
A lot of that, yeah, is coming from our community when we're doing some tabling and things, and we see some people like will be tabling at the at some Juneteenth events and different things, and we'll have some lightsabers out, and we see who's looking at that. You know what that is. You want to touch it. You want to, but you never realize there's a space where you can dress up like a Jedi or do different things. And so, opening the eyes to so many people. Leslie was very fortunate in her life to be exposed to this early on, when myself and David didn't really get in touch with it until our later adult years, but hoping to provide those spaces for whatever it is, an 8-year-old or a 80-year-old, to
Yeah.
have this space to feel comfortable in, and then be a gateway to other things. And I definitely see Confluence being what BlurredCon was years ago, and could grow into something as big as it as time goes on.
Yeah, and you guys are partnering with Public Functionary on this, or they're
Yeah,
using the space,
yeah,
correct?
yeah. So public functionary at the Northrop King building. Public functionary is the container for Confluence right now. So it's fully operational underneath their 501, I think it is, which is a great thing, especially for con still in its infant years right now and still being developed and cultivated. So yeah, public functionary would be that umbrella and container for Confluence.
Awesome. Love to hear it. And if you are in the city, or even if you're not from the city, and you want to come see what St. Paul and Minnesota is all about, make sure y'all pop out here for Confluence. Come out, come see it, come feel the love, come feel the joy, come with your best cosplay. You may see me, you know, start my cosplay streak.
We
Um,
will see you.
we
We
will.
will see
See, they're
you.
speaking into an existence.
Yes, you have the opportunity to strut your stuff. We got a cosplay runway and a cosplay competition, all
Oh
sorts of
yeah.
opportunities to show your stuff. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. So here at the Lookout, we are Anime Network. What was your guys's like anime like knowledge introductions? Are y'all heavy into that? Or you is your introduction? Because mine, I was American comics into manga.
Hmm.
That's how I started. I was reading Batman, Superman, Spider Man all the time, and then Toonami introduced me. It was like Dragon Ball Z and all that, but then Toonami had their block, and I was just like, oh, whoa, this is like cartoons, but they're actually like showing blood. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
I was
Right.
like, I was like, they're fighting. I was like, is that a cuss word? I was like, oh, this is amazing. How about you guys? Like, do y'all have a starting point within anime, or just kind of like in general, just like your love for nerdom? Like, where did that kind of start for you?
Adrian,
I
you
guess
go
so.
ahead. I might get long
Yeah.
winded.
Yeah. I wanted to reach out before you to apologize that I have not gotten deep into the anime world. I know I watched a little Pokemon as a kid, but just in general, my nerddom is stuff I was watching on TV as a kid, from Power Rangers and Gargoyles and Darkwing Duck, and seeing different
Oh
things.
yeah.
And I never got into the anime. And then after time, I was like, there's too much to catch up on now. I guess I'm as you're saying about the cosplay, there's too many things to where do I start? But I guess the Boondocks can be somewhat categorized as anime. I really enjoyed that, with the serious nature and various movies and things. Cold World was a animation slash live action one with Brad Pitt and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Rabbit, seeing those
Yeah.
sort of things, that was a formative experience. But yeah, in general, it was what I saw on TV. I always preface this next statement by saying that I work in higher ed. I have a master's degree, but in general, I don't read. So it's either TV or movies or other content. I'm not picking up a comic book. Haven't yet, but so many things that uh, I guess at least in my cosplay stuff I enjoyed as a kid on TV and movies and all the other things that lead to my nerdy side.
Nah, definitely. I mean, I think cartoons in general, and I think now, especially with like the 90s babies into now, like cartoons play and still play a huge role in what I deem is cool.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've always been, even now, like, having a daughter, me and her watch a lot of cartoons together and whatnot. But I think I tell people all the time, like, I love animation so much because I'm like, there are just some things that uh, that live action can do. Like, there's like a ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
You can only do
Mm-hmm.
so much with live action. I'm like, with
Right.
animation, I'm like, you can go as kooky, as far left, as far right, as far up, as far down as you really want to go with it.
Yeah.
And I think even now, just the level of just animation. I mean, you look at things, Invincible just took over the world for a second. Like there's things animation wise that they can do, and
Yeah,
they have
Spider
been.
Verse stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Spider Verse, everything that they've been doing, where you're like, this is so next level. Like this is so like I what am I watching? Like this is art. Like this is whoa. And that's why, and that was where my love really came from, is the fact that I'm like, this is not only great storytelling, but this is in a medium where I feel that there's so many different styles and there's so many different things that come into play, where you're like, this is, you know it's so enticing. You're just like, I want to be, you're just drawing deeper into it. But David, all right, you say you're gonna get long winded.
I'm gonna try not to. It's just,
I will give you the floor now. What was your
but
what was
I
your
mean,
introduction into this nerdum verse?
oh, so I would say, like in my youth, much like Adrian, like I grew up with the Saturday morning cartoons, eating cereal, watching Dennis the Menace, Disney Channel, Nickelodeon. One of my earliest things when it comes to a more adult driven things was Ren and Stimpy back when it was on MTV, I believe it was.
Yeah, I remember they
Um,
had that Spike TV run too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Before it even went over to Nickelodeon, he dropped Darkwing Duck. Yo, Darkwing Duck and Gargoyles was my. Can we curse? Because it was
Yes.
my ish. Yes.
have fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely the shit. Like, those are fond memories. Batman the animated series. So I can go on and on and on. Right through my youth, I loved all of that stuff. But it was like quietly just me. It wasn't until I met my best friend, who is my brother, Samuel, and I was a game head way back in the day, and we connected over video games. And he's my OG black nerd. He was the one that was in the anime and the gaming and the comic books, the whole nine. So he ushered me into that world. It took him a little bit because he would be like, "You need to read this. You need to watch this," and I would just be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll get to it." And I jumped in, like I told you to do. I jumped in all the way in, like on the deep end. Like my first comic books that I read, I bought the entire series of Transmetropolitan, hands down one of the best series ever written. That is super potent and till this day, very relevant to what we're facing in our times. It's like it's timeless. I jumped in, and at the same time, I bought the entire Punisher Max by Garth Ennis. I didn't bought the entire run of that. Um, that's why Punisher is like probably my number one Marvel favorite right now.
Are you
Um,
currently watching Daredevil Born Again?
I am not. I am purposely staying away until it's done, and then I'm just gonna go like lock myself in my apartment and then binge it.
a
Oh,
brave individual.
yes, very. I have those same watching habits. I
Mhm.
blame Netflix.
Yeah,
Netflix ruined me because I'm just like, now, like, I'm like, just let the whole season drop, and then I'll just watch it all in the next like
yeah,
48 hours.
yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I can't. I'm really excited to jump in, but I want to jump in completely blinded. So, but like when they dropped the first Punisher, I got a lot of thoughts on it, but I absolutely loved it. So, I absolutely loved the first Daredevil as well. Like the writing was great, but the cinematography was just like on freaking point. That's a big thing for me too. Um, but to talk more directly about anime, when I finally jumped into anime, I don't, I can't remember what my first watch was. Um, Actually, I take that back. It was Air Gear. I think Air Gear was Air Gear and Sekirei. So those were my first two ones, and if you've ever watched those ones, you might understand why I have a little chuckle. Um,
I've
but
seen Air Gear. I have not seen Sakura yet, though.
all right, you know, it's the whole harem, the unlikely hero, the shy boy who's surrounded by these like beautiful, powerful women or deities. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
Air Gear was a little bit more centered on the kid just being that. I like that one because he was totally crap at being a skater, and he had to really struggle and learn and get his way there. But it was semi like harem because he was surrounded by like all these beautiful women too. But those were the start for me, and you know, similar. It was like this world. It just opened up a whole new world of storytelling for me, and so that's what pulled me in. After that, I was consuming everything, and as I was consuming things, I was noticing like even my own particular flavor of type of animates, what type of stories are being told, or like what type of animation is being utilized, and like what I'm gravitating towards and stuff like that. So I wouldn't call myself like, because I forget so much. Like people be wanting to talk to me, and I'm like, listen, I don't remember nobody's name, but I definitely remember that it was dope. um, so
Yeah, like
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember the feeling that you
yeah,
gave me.
yeah, yeah. Like I remember the art, or I can remember the general story and stuff like that. But if we want to start talking about characters and stuff like that, unfortunately, names start blending together for me. So
Definitely. God, this is amazing. This is so fun. I mean, we have these, shout out to my co-hosts. We have great conversations all the time, but like I said, we keeping it so local today, and it feels great. Like talking to two guys from the same neighborhood, from the same,
yeah,
we, we and seeing how you guys are taking everything that is happening, with the nerd stuff, with all this, the cosplay, and like taking it to different heights and how you guys are applying it and whatnot. What is you
yeah,
guys is like trying to, I guess, like vision for the future for yourself, for this community? Like, what are you guys wanting to see more of? Um, with yourselves and like just this community in general. Like, what are you looking like for more of?
mm,
Gotcha. Yeah, as you were saying that, I was something me and David had talked about. That me and David were clearly in the same circles for many years, in the same high school, same friend group, all these different things, but didn't know each other until we popped up on the internet dressing up like superheroes and
right,
got connected. And me and you, yeah, I've known you since you were a kid and things, but I didn't know what you were doing. And so I think it's just being comfortable talking about this stuff, and creating spaces for people to enjoy it, and whether it's on social media or in 3D, trying to expose more people to these opportunities so they can, it can lead to a podcast, it can lead to a creative fun outlet, lead to a career, whatever else it is. But I think trying to share it more, as I see people, it's again, with a day job you may not bring it up, but why not talk about it a little bit, share things during an icebreaker, let your friends and family know. I got my family to come out to Twin Cities Con this past year, all suited up as Spider-Man.
yeah, that was
My mom
beautiful.
even dressed up like
Yeah,
Aunt May, and she got into it. And I got some nibblings who are getting into the world now. So just trying to share it with more people. I'm going to WonderCon next weekend and some other things to try and explore and meet new people. But just having fun with it is the main thing.
Awesome. What about you, David? Like, what is your dream for the future for this community, for yourself, and everything else that's going on?
oh man, I'm finding myself like transformed by all of this. You know, it very much started just being an observer to being a participant by like going to the events and things like that, to now I really feel I have a deep passion in trying to figure out how do we create these spaces? Um how do we invite people from our communities that we know don't always get um uh, the exposure, right? They don't really necessarily get the exposure to these things that we really enjoy. Or maybe they did get the exposure to the things, but they don't have a place or space where they feel safe to be themselves, to express themselves, to just like, because I'm telling you, the moment you meet, you're saying it a lot too to us. It's moments like this where you meet somebody who comes from the same neighborhood or a similar neighborhood, somebody who looks like you, or who somebody who speaks that unspoken language like you do. And so there's a culture significance that we share, but then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, you a black nerd too? Wait a minute, you watch anime? I'm telling you, out here I stay in Evergrove Heights, and so I go to the Walmart that's out here, right? And I see many people of color, mostly like Mexicans and stuff like that. But it's primarily a white neighborhood, and
Oh, I know.
that's all.
I work at that. I work right up the road from that Walgreens over there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you
So
understand where I'm going, right?
yeah.
There's a young brother that works there, and I walked in wearing a Demon Slayer T-shirt, and he's ringing me up, and he just stops in mid ring, and he was like, "You watch anime?" Like a little shook, and I was like, I'm like, absolutely, I watch anime. And then all of a sudden, he was just like, oh, what did you think about blah, 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 And just to see him completely be himself and feel comfortable in that moment, my brother forgot that he had a whole other customer that he needed to, ring up. But it's moments like that that really feed me and that really solidify the movement that not only us here in Minnesota with ConFluence is trying to do. There's some other. I got a shout out to Keitho Festival. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. That's an indigenous festival that was happening just this past weekend in St. Paul. It's the first ever in St. Paul. Yo, there's a movement that's happening. So it's not only happening in the black communities, but it's which ConFluence is it is representative of the blacks, indigenous, and people of color. Like not only us, but those of us who have been hushed and quieted are like, you know what, enough is enough. We need a space for us. So we're about to take up space. So that's what I want. That's what I see for the future. That's what I want for the future. That's in any small place I can help to do that, I'm gonna do it. If I'm able, if I'm, if I whatever powers that I may have, whether it's just I'm gonna go and pick up sticks for you so you can have a clean yard to do a sale, right? Even if it's just that minimal, I want to be there and I want to help to do that because I just believe in this so much, and I am constantly reaffirmed that it is needed, it is loved, it is welcomed, and it is very much yearned for by these communities.
Man, that was beautiful. That was couldn't say it better myself. And you know, I completely agree. Like even with the lookout, we just celebrated 7 years on the 19th of
Nice.
January.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Appreciate y'all. And
Nice.
shout out to Mills because he's the creator of all this. And I start, Mills that's my bestie, that's my man's. And I just started off listening as a fan.
Right.
I just want to support my friend. And then that grew into me, you know, pitching an idea to him of like, hey, you guys are, doing anime. Like I read a lot of manga. Can I do a manga show for the network? And
Mm-hmm.
ran a manga podcast for a while, and once that ended, he was just like, "Yo, just come run the mainstay podcast with me." And the opportunities, the people that I've been able to meet, the spaces I've been able to go in, like I'm like, wow, just off of really wanting to just do something cool with my friend and just talk about something I enjoy and just be, a grown ass kid,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And now I'm looking at it now, all the community I've been able to build and see, and just see all the wonderful things that other people are doing, just like you two, where it's just like, man, A- Adrian probably knows every single person in my family. And
Mm,
they, for
True. I was with Benny last week.
yeah, you see, and it was funny because my cousin Nation, I was like, "Oh, Adrian's gonna be on the podcast next week." She was like, "Oh my gosh, tell him I said hi." Oh, but like and David, like all of us coming from the same neighborhood, and it's like it's beautiful the fact that there's this connecting string
yeah.
um for all of us, and now look at us all here. So I'm with you, where it's just like all I want to see is just the connection just grow stronger and bigger.
Right.
How can we make this spider web become bigger,
Right.
and get more people trapped in? All right, last question. This is more for David. Like, I know you have daughters, right?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you
Yes, sir.
seen them kind of fall into this like thing naturally with you? Are they still kind of, because my daughter, she obviously has seen me. I've never kind of really pushed anything on her. She's just kind of seen me do this and kind of fall into, and now she
Right.
started like, we went to
Right.
Twin Cities Con the year before we did the panel, and she was like, I want to dress up as Sailor Moon. And so I was like,
Hmm.
okay,
Hmm.
cool. So got her a Sailor Moon outfit, and she was able to wear it. And, so it's been great to see her kind of just find her own lane in it and just find the things that she likes. She really loves My Hero, and she'll find all the other animes that she likes and other comics that she likes. Have you been seeing that with your own children? And like, how does that, like, as a dad, how does that feel to see them kind of gravitate towards something that you enjoy, if they are?
Right. I've always definitely tried to leave an open lane for the girls to just discover their own. You know what I mean? Come into their own, and then I want to champion that. I just want to be the biggest cheerleader for them. Um, my eldest daughter has definitely seen. I've definitely lived out my geek life fully. So she knows full and well her dad is a big time blurred, and she champions that for me, and I love that. You know what I mean? Like she be behind me, like coming with ideas, and she's definitely been to several cons with me. She's definitely dressed up herself. I think there was one costume where I was just giving suggestions and stuff like that, and she killed it. She definitely killed. She dressed up as Ryder from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah, and we I think we went to Anime Detour that year. But yeah. So I would say, I mean, she she definitely like digs anime here and there. She's definitely a gamer in her own right here and there, but she moves at her own speed. I wouldn't say that she's gotten deep into the world as of yet, but she's definitely found her lane, if that makes sense, and I love it. She's got like few comic books that she's gravitated towards and she enjoys and stuff like that. But I like to make sure I leave it open for them to discover their way through it. The youngest ones haven't yet. I haven't taken them to any cons as of yet. They are still very much into like Coco Melon and the LOL dolls and stuff like that. So I like to just let them be. You know what I mean? Like I see that's what they love. I just be like, I'm gonna just buy a bunch of toys in that area or whatever the case may be until it changes into something new. Because they're still weaving in and out of the things that they enjoy. So whatever it is, I'm gonna be right there, champion. One thing though, I may push on all the girls is TMNT. Like they'd be like, can we watch, this? Can we watch YouTube or whatever? And I don't really like to have them watch YouTube unless it's like YouTube Kids. And so I'd be like, how about this? Let's watch some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they'd be looking at me sideways like, that's not what we asked. I'm like, no, but you're going to love it. You're going
Hey,
to love
look,
it. Watch. You're going to love this.
Yeah,
listen,
it's on the cosplay dream list. Teaming up with the movie quality Teenage
Yeah.
Mutant Ninja Turtle suits one day. We got to find a sponsor.
oh
Yes.
yes.
Seriously.
Okay, I'll join in on that one.
Yeah.
There we go.
I've already priced it out. I've already reached out to a cat. He
Listen,
told me not to tell him
I
about it.
just called dibs on Mikey. That's it.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Yep. David? Who you got?
Raph.
Raph. All right.
Yep.
Who you got?
Or Donnie. Raph has to be my first one, but I do love Donnie too.
Leonardo coming through all blue.
All right. Yeah, Mikey, that's my guy. He's the goofball of the group. He's the one that, he mellows out he mellows out the rest.
Yeah.
That's always been my goal. I'm like, I just want to be the guy that mellows out the rest.
You know why?
Yes.
You know why Mikey's really, really dope though, and underrated, because people, they don't really pay attention to the person with all the jokes and the one who's always lighthearted and stuff like that. But he's probably like the most powerful because
Nunchucks are really hard.
But yeah, facts. Facts. Have you ever tried to spin nunchucks on your finger? I think not.
What?
But the fact that is like he's just as skilled as his brothers, right? Like he can whoop ass like them, but he does it nonchalantly. Raph has got a lot of emotion. He's taking everything super serious. Leonardo has got the world on his shoulders because he's trying to be an example and lead his brothers. Donnie is a more analytical type of guy, probably more a little goofy side because him and Mikey got that connect, right? But Mikey is just like, bro, I'm going to whoop your ass, but the entire time I'm whooping your ass, I'm thinking about what I'm about to eat tonight, which is going to be some pizza. You know what I mean? And I think that's powerful. I think there's something to be said about that. There's somebody that can just put a whooping on you, but not even be fazed by anything that's happening.
There you go. If you need a full series of podcasts on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know who to call.
Right,
For sure. Oh man, but I appreciate you guys, both of y'all, so much for pulling up on us, pulling up at the Lookout. Where can people find y'all on socials? And how can people continue to support ConFluence and other things that you guys got going on?
Yeah, I'm St. Paul Prince on the socials, STPAUL Prince, Confluence _MN on Instagram. What's the website at, David?
It's confluencemn.com.
For sure.
So yeah, people want to show up, support, attend, buy tickets. The ticket are on sale until April 1st at a discounted price. Share, comment, like, subscribe.
Yes.
Invite some people.
Yes. The dates is October 18th, 19th, 2025 at the Northrop King Building, which I believe is 1500 Jackson Street.
Awesome. And David, where can people holler at you at? I know you say you're a retired photographer, but
Yep. Retired. Yeah, I'm tired too. That's the big thing. I'm a retired photographer. I'm still got the camera in my hand though. It'll never go anywhere. I still get out there and do my thing here and there. I've been doing some like self shoots. I'm actually supposed to connect with Nikki, who goes by Cola Bear Cosplay on IG. Check her out. We got some things in the work, and then I'm going to be traveling to North Carolina. Got some things in the work with a good friend out there. But you can find me everywhere as Tazumi Zaga. That is TAZUMI_ZAIGA.
awesome. Well, guys, once again, just want to thank y'all so much for pulling up on us. This is episode 198. Next week, you will hear the Mills is back. I won't be a part of it, but Mills is back with another great interview with another great guest. And then we have episode 200. So as always, make sure you're on the lookout for the Lookout. Thank you guys for listening. You know where to find us. Listen and subscribe, YouTube, wherever you like to listen to your favorite podcast. And yeah, peace.